Este es Aaron con de enetcomputers.com otro video para ti hoy. What does the land of make-believe have for us today, otherwise known as micro slop, micro shit? Wind blows. Oh, that's right. Microsoft claims that they are legitimate. They claim that they are credible. And that's why I refer to them as the land of make-believe, because they make up and believe that they are a legitimate tech company when that is the farthest from the fucking truth. Let me digress. This individual had a Windows Home, Windows 10 Home Edition computer, and they received this error as soon as they tried to open up Microsoft Word. That was not noise pollution from this building. That was lightning. That's physics. Do you know that a lot of Christians don't even understand physics? They don't understand that big loud boom after a lightning bolt hits the ground, that's physics. That's called an electrostatic discharge. But a lot of those lunatic Christians, they think that that's an act of God. There is no fucking God. I digress back to this, but there is major problems in Microsoft land. Sorry, an error has occurred and Word could not start. Well, why is Microsoft so apologetic? Why don't they fucking program and develop some halfway decent software? I do not use Microsoft Office. I never have, really. I think one time I had a copy of maybe Office XP, but I didn't even like it. But I digress back to this. I don't judge my clients. I don't yell at them. I don't bring up the subject. But obviously in my videos I do. I was able to fix this error. You're going to have to wait until the end of the video. I'm not going to cut to the chase. No, you're going to have to watch the full video and you'll find out how I fixed this error. This computer, and then before I digress to the condition of this computer, which was an utter disaster, but that's what happens when you continue to rely on microcrap, microslop, Windows operating systems, including Windows 10. I don't know what the fuck the number 6 designates. Number 6, well... A lot of times when you try to look up Microsoft errors, you don't find any documentation. Except, I would say, the hexadecimal errors, the ones with the long error, hex, and hence the term hexadecimal. The 0xC0087W, that kind of bullshit. Yeah, you can look those up. But ones like this was just like a single number or a couple of numbers. I don't even know if they exist. They could just be bullshit. They could just throw in the 6 just to make it look official. Hey, you never know with these tech giants. They can just make shit up and you believe it. Kind of like the government military does every day. Alright, so this computer was an utter disaster. Number 1, there were 3 different antivirus softwares running. There were 3 different antivirus functional with real-time scans. Never, never, ever, ever, ever. Don't ever load more than one piece of antivirus software. It does not even make logical sense. Use your brains. Why the fuck would you assume that you could install more than one antivirus software and somehow that's the miracle cure? It's like you are very ill. You have a heart condition and you think that you can, lie to your doctor, or on the under market you can obtain multiple subscriptions of heart medication, even though you damn well know that you could kill yourself. Because why the fuck would you assume that you could take 3 different heart medications and that's going to solve the problem? Use your brains when it comes to using computers. I don't understand it. So that's a gold tip. I never judge, I never attack, I never lecture, but that is I've noticed this with Windows users. Macintosh users, usually not. Linux, you don't have to worry about viruses. Macintosh computers, they still obtain viruses, but not nearly as much as Windows. But it's starting to become a problem. But I can't remember the last time I ran across a Mac user that had more than one antivirus software loaded on their Mac. Windows, that's quite prevalent. As a matter of fact, I've now included it in part of my troubleshooting as a bitch boy, as a computer technician. If I notice that the computer is really slow and sluggish, even remote, I remotely connected to this computer, but still, I could tell it was really slow. That's one of the first things I check. Oh, is there more than one antivirus functional? Sure enough, they had Windows Defender, they had McAfee, and they had Norton Internet Security. The problem with that is that when you have even two DOS, if you had just two antivirus functional, they will end up fighting each other for resources. And think about it, they might even scan over each other. And antivirus itself is a resource hog, even on a quad core, even on an 8 core. You know what I'm saying? Even with modern operating systems, antivirus software is very resource intensive. I don't use antivirus software. I lock down my Windows 10 machine, but here's a gold tip. Learn how to use a Linux firewall, because Linux firewalls are not perfect, but they're pretty good. Linux firewall, if you put your Windows computers behind a Linux firewall, you'll get less viruses and less malware. I'm not saying it's not possible. It is possible, but I learned that over a decade ago. That's one of my gold tips. Put your Windows computers behind a Linux firewall. So I don't use antivirus software for many reasons. The big reason is because it's a resource hog, and it also eats up a bunch of memory, random access memory. Plus, I know better than to fucking surf ashleymadison.com every day and, click on banners from Ashley Madison. I know better than that. Here's another gold tip. Learn how to reduce your privileges. Do not surf the internet with a root account on Linux. Do not surf the internet with the administrator account on Macintosh. And do not surf the internet with the administrator account on Windows, Winblows, or an account with administrator privileges, because that makes it extremely easier for malware and viruses and spyware to get installed and infect your computer. So I removed McAfee because I noticed that McAfee had expired like 6 months ago. Norton still had about 6 months of a active subscription. However, it was behind on the updates. Whoever maintained this computer, I think it was a business. I'm not judging, I'm just saying. It's root cause analysis is all it is. It's like a dentist, although I don't like dentists, but whatever. Sometimes you have to go to a dentist. You know what I'm saying? If you bite down and you're in so much pain that you can't work, well, duh. But I don't like dentists. You know what I'm saying? I don't like humans. 98% of them. This was, I think, a small business computer. And so what I do for my customers is I try to save them money, because I know they're stingy. Most Americans are stingy cheapskates when it comes to information technology. They will spend $5 a day with their Starbucks narcotics addiction. Caffeine, that's an addiction. They will spend $150 per month at least drinking crap that they don't need to drink. I'm drinking green tea. I don't drink coffee. This is green tea. No. You need to distinguish the differences between coffee. Now, coffee is natural. It's in its natural state. They're just beans. You need to distinguish the difference between coffee beans and something known as like tea leaves, because For thousands of years, it's well known that green tea, among many tea leaves, has medicinal purposes. There's a lot of natural anti-cancer, blah, 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 blah. Green tea doesn't have nearly as much caffeine, so it's not an addiction. I can quit drinking green tea anytime. I have before, and it didn't bother me. It didn't affect me at all. I noticed that Norton Antivirus, Norton Internet Security, the license was still active. So instead of lying to them, I could have lied to them and said, hey man, Norton sucks, or that's another thing I don't do anymore. This customer asked me, when I told them that you have 3 pieces of antivirus running, Windows Defender, Junk, they're all about the same really. I don't see much differences between Windows Defender, McAfee, or Norton. Well, McAfee, I think it's McAfee, or no, not Norton, Symantec, and McAfee, they're the same corporation. I don't see much differences between those pieces of antivirus. I could have lied to them and said they all sucked, and then I could have upsold them, and I could have had them buy software from me. But no, I don't do that. I don't need to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I left Norton Internet Security, even though I'm not a big... These 3 pieces of antivirus are on the bottom of my list. Now, Windows Defender is free, so it's better than nothing. If you can't afford antivirus, or you just... If you can't afford antivirus, or you just don't want to use antivirus, I would, I don't recommend shit, but Windows Defender is built in, it's free, update it. You may as well use it. It's better than nothing. Turn on, make sure that the Windows 10 firewall is turned on. But your best bet, better than that crap, is put your Windows computers behind a firewall. You can buy hardware firewalls, or you just take an old desktop computer or a laptop and you load Linux, and then you learn how to use IP tables, and you put your Windows computers behind a Linux firewall or a Unix firewall. It doesn't have to be Linux, it could be Unix. So those 3 pieces of antivirus are at the bottom of my list. Windows Defender, I've never been a fan of McAfee. McAfee and Norton and Symantec, which they're the same corporation. See, there is no competition in America, but you believe the bullshit the society feeds you. The system is 100% rigged, and that includes information technology. You know what I'm saying? I've never been a fan of McAfee and Symantec and Norton is because sometimes their software can be a fucking bitch to remove. Oh yes, similar to iTunes. And it's very prevalent. You'll run across a computer with McAfee or Norton or Symantec antivirus, and holy fuck, it won't install, or it will take hours to remove it. It can be a pain in the ass to remove. When those 3 pieces of software go awry, look the fuck out. Back the fuck up before you get smacked the fuck up by Norton, McAfee, or Symantec, which are the same corporation. Alright, so I dwilled it down. Now, Windows Defender, you can disable it, or Windows Defender has a feature, actually, that you can tell Windows Defender which antivirus to use. Now, Windows Defender, I need to study it further. I think it's more of a hybrid. I think technically Windows Defender will scan for viruses and malware. And you need to understand the distinction between malware and virus. I'm not going to give you that lecture because I could talk about that for at least an hour. There is a distinction between malware, spyware, and virus. But I think technically Windows Defender scans for, malware and virus. Where now some of these antivirus makers now are also including malware scans. You would need to look up the specifications for that software because there is a distinction. Just because you have viruses doesn't mean that virus software is going to pick up malware, and vice versa. I don't want to digress about that subject because that can, you could, any technician, except for the YouTube technology shills that they don't give you any advice, they don't give you any real world examples, they just talk about gossip all day and talk about the latest and greatest bullshit, and they defend, pun intended, Windows, Microsoft, they defend Google, they defend YouTube, they defend Apple, blah, 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 blah. Next on my to-do list was I decided to go ahead and use a PC optimization tool because I noticed this computer was in bad shape, very slow, and click on the link in the description box below, which will take you to my website, anetcomputers.com, where you can access my preferred PC optimization tool and my preferred spyware scan tool. So I ran a PC optimization tool. It freed up about 500 megabytes of disk space. It also removed hundreds and hundreds of registry entries. Then the I guess you could call it anti-spyware. The spyware software found 3 major pieces of spyware. It removed all 3. And then I tried to see if Microsoft Word would open. Oh, and I forgot another detail. It's not... They were also having problems with Microsoft Edge. Microsoft Edge would not open. Well, it would open up, and then if you tried to surf to a website or, google.com, or if you tried to go into the settings, after about, I would say, 30 seconds to a minute, it would just crash and disappear, which that is very common. There are probably thousands of complaints on the internet about the fact that Microsoft Edge is a fucking piece of shit web browser, and the reason why you will receive that kind of commentary is because a lot of times Microsoft Edge does not work at all, period. Explain that to me. Microsoft Edge is built into Microsoft operating system. Internet Explorer has always been built in. Technically, you cannot remove Internet Explorer and you cannot remove Microsoft Edge. In my opinion, that might be why those 2 web browsers are pieces of shit, is because that's just my opinion. They're built into the operating system, and they are it's almost impossible to repair them. Sometimes you cannot repair them. You can't remove them either. It's not like you can remove them, run an optimization tool, or manually remove registry entries, manually remove folders, manually remove files for those web browsers. No, you can't do that. So now I'm going to finally tell you what fixed this problem. I think. Oh, before... No, I was wrong. I lied, but not intentionally. I tried to repair. Now, with Office 365, I'm not sure, since I don't use Office products, I never really have except for in corporate environments, but I've used LibreOffice, StarOffice, OpenOffice for 10 to 15 years at least. Oh, yes. I'm not sure when Microsoft added the additions inside. So what you can do, now you have been able to perform a repair on Microsoft Office, but they changed it a little bit. Nowadays, at least with Office 2016, which comes with an Office 365 subscription, you go into programs and features, this fucking Windows 7 and Vista and Microsoft, they just fuck shit up all the time, and they change even the lexicon. Go into apps and features in Windows 10, scroll down, and then look for your version of Office. So this blog post and this video was made for Office 2016, but you can use it as a basis point to try to troubleshoot problems with Office, other versions of Office. Now, some of the other Office software did work. Word would not work. It came up with this fucked up error. Sorry. Why? What are you sorry for? I do not accept your apology, Microsoft. I never have, I never will, and I am not now. Do not apologize to me, because I know you're full of shit, and that is not a... How shall I articulate this? That is not a credible apology, Microsoft. No need to apologize to me, because I know your software sucks. Your apology is not going to change my opinion of your crappy software. So when you go into apps and features, what you can do is you click on the version of Office. In this case, it's Office 2016. There will be two options. There will be modify or uninstall. I think back in the day it used to be called repair. It would be repair or uninstall or remove. Well, if you click on modify, you have two additional options, which to me is pretty decent for Microsoft. It should be this way. You can either repair. When you click on modify, you can either quick repair or you can online repair. Now, an online repair takes a lot longer because what it will do is I think it goes out to the Microsoft servers. It might reinstall that application. Or if you select Microsoft Office, it's going to reinstall Microsoft Office all over. And it's going to pull data from the internet. So that can take a long time. I chose quick repair, but it wasn't really that quick, which that's typical Microsoft lexicon. When they tell you, when they brag about their crappy software and they brag about their crappy operating system with their marketing bullshit, most times it's not true. But whatever. It's not just Microsoft. Apple speaks that way. Google speaks that way. YouTube speaks that way. America speaks that way. Most Americans are full of shit. They just, whatever comes out of their mouth, I don't believe most of the time. I digress. Back to this crisis. The quick repair was not quick, but, it took a while, at least a half an hour, I would say, at least. Guess what? Microsoft Office would not work. To me, even though I know that a lot of times repairs take a long time, that is good. That is good that Microsoft at least has that option, and now they have two options. The quick repair, I assume, browses and searches the local hard drive, and if it notices any corruption, I don't know if it goes back and reinstalls everything, or does it have, I just don't know. Microsoft is secretive. Does the script have the ability to detect if there are any corrupt files and then replace those corrupt files? I'm not sure how it all works. But at least they have a quick repair, and now they have an online repair. I still run those because sometimes it fixes the issue. It's worth it. It's real easy. You just click and sit back and, look outside as it's raining and whatever. And then I'm not going to get derogatory, but whatever you Americans get up to, you're always up to no good in my mind. 98% of you going around shooting each other, going around judging each other because you're from a different religion, and the military continue to lie and get involved in foreign entanglements based off of their lies. It's just America it makes me disgusted. Sometimes I think I'm obsessed with technology so I can escape the reality of a fucking piece of shit government military that's out of control. Now, here's finally what fixed this issue. You want to take a guess? I'll let you guess. What do you think fixed this problem with Microsoft Word 2016 not opening up and getting that funky, pointless error? Want to take a guess? Want to take a gander? Believe it or not, Microsoft Updates fixed this one. This is an old school tip. Here's a gold tip. I could have cut to the chase, but me as a technician, I prefer not always cutting to the chase because I just don't know. So I kind of have a mentally ill tool set in my mind. Well, do this, do that. Whereas I just found I'm able to fix issues better that way. Whereas sometimes if I start deviating from my mentally ill troubleshooting steps in my brain, then all of a sudden I don't know, I end up wasting more time. I don't know. Installing Microsoft Office updates fixed the problem. And here, that is a gold tip. What you can do potentially to save yourself troubleshooting time is that if there is updates available, Let's say even Windows updates, although I'm not a big fan of them. Let's say, now this is an excellent example. I think it was the fall creators update last year, when when Windows 10 was upgraded to, I think it was 1709. Right now I have 1803. When I upgraded to 1709, it fixed that problem with Microsoft Edge not opening. Before that, I could not repair it. I just gave up because I don't use Microsoft Edge, but I like to try to repair things because the more knowledge you know, the more valuable you are, and it can, think about it. You can even make money if you know how to fix Microsoft Edge, but I don't want to digress about that. So this is a potential gold tip. Now, with Microsoft, there's kind of two ways you can go about it. You can go backwards. I could have kicked off a system restore. I decided not to do that because it seemed like whoever maintained this computer just turned it into a clusterfuck. And I was just like, you know what? Let's not go into the past because who knows what could happen. Look at all the problems that this Windows 10 computer had. Multiple antivirus. Norton wasn't updated. It had malware on it. What else? It was slow as fuck. The registry was a clusterfuck. So I was like, so sometimes going forward can fix your problem. But if you go forward, then you decide to go back, you're going to have to go back even further. So sometimes with Microsoft, you can go backwards. Sometimes kicking off a system restore, bam, bam. But then I would have had to, I don't know. And since this was a business environment, the owner or whoever this was pissed off, and I don't give a shit about that crap. He fired his secretary or receptionist or whoever it was. I didn't give a shit about that. I don't know why he even told me. To blame somebody, I don't get into the blame game. I don't give a fuck about that crap. I guess Americans love to blame somebody for problems. I don't give a shit about that crap. You know what I'm saying? So in this instance, it paid off, pun intended, as I received capitalistic compensation to move forward. So sometimes you can install updates to fix a problem. It's worth a shot. My philosophy as well, there's already Microsoft updates available. So, and you should be keeping Windows updates up to date, although I prefer manual because the automatic updates is nothing but a disaster. Microsoft updates can turn into a disaster. I would recommend that you do not use the automatic updates, but that's me. That's my preferred choice as a technician. However, it is productive to me to install updates because Microsoft operating system is a known backdoor, and then Office applications can have security risks, and Microsoft Office gets real buggy. And my overall experiences with Microsoft operating systems, it's better to install updates rather than delay. The longer you delay, I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying? Now, I prefer to keep I have one Windows 10 computer, the one I'm looking at right now. Believe it or not, I keep it bleeding edge when it comes to updates. But I control the updates. I check for them on my own, and I install them on my own, and I monitor the installation. You know what I'm saying? And I always keep my fingers crossed during the reboot, and I always back up my data. So I recommended to this customer, but I decided to try the Microsoft updates, and it worked. So I'll show you how to check for Microsoft updates if you don't know. Now, I don't know if this is exclusive to Office 2016. I just don't work with Office that much. I don't want to. I don't work in a corporate environment, so I don't know if previous versions of Office 365 are different as far as the menu option to get to check for updates. I just don't know. What you want to do is you want to open up a Microsoft application that works. Excel or PowerPoint or Outlook. Any Microsoft application that works. Word didn't work. You open up another one that works. Then you go to, now you select account. or Office account. Then look for product information and then select update options. Now finally click on update now. On this computer the updates worked. They downloaded. It took quite a while. They might have been behind. And then they downloaded and then they installed. This is another experience of mine. Microsoft Office updates can take fucking forever. They can I mean, I'm not making this shit up. Installing Microsoft Office can take hours on a brand new computer, on a brand new Windows 10 machine with 8 gigabytes, 16
A severe
gigabytes.
weather alert has been lifted for Arvada, Colorado.
Microsoft Office takes fucking forever to install. It always has. And a lot of times the Microsoft updates take a long fucking time to install and update, so be patient. Now these updates did not require a reboot, but sometimes they will require a reboot. And you want to reboot the computer, especially if you're trying to use updates as a way to fix software. And then I don't keep an eye on Microsoft. I don't like Microsoft. I don't have the time. But I did a quick search on this problem, and I did see a couple of comments where people, I didn't really look into the details. I just quickly scanned, and it could be that there were some bugs or Microsoft released an update to fix. I don't know if it was with Office 2016. It might have been with the previous version of Office that they released an update that fixed an Office application that wouldn't open. But that's been going on for over 20 years. Yeah, that is a gold tip. If you want to try to fix a problem with Microsoft Office, you can go backwards and perform a system restore, but you're going to have to install the updates anyways. It is recommended that you install updates on Microsoft. My experiences tell me I don't like Microsoft, I don't like their updates. You're better off installing updates than not having the updates installed, because number one on my list is because Microsoft operating system and their software is a security risk. Java is a security risk. Flash player, security risk. Windows operating system, it's a security risk because to me it's a back door to the NSA. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a paradox. It's the lesser of two evils. Do I refrain from installing updates because I hate Microsoft, or because, blah, 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 or do I go forward? So it's just, anyways, but see, it can be useful though. And that was an easy fix. Oh, I didn't know that. And another problem with Microsoft is the lack of transparency and the lack of transparency. What the fuck kind of error is this? This doesn't fucking tell me anything. I mean, look at the error. Sorry, an error has occurred and Word cannot start. Well, no fucking shit, Sherlock. That there is no point in an error like that. Now, the number 6 could be useful if it had a meaning, but I've never ever been able to find out what these small numbers mean to in Microsoft land. So, in closing, I know this was a long video, but hey man, if you start learning certain techniques, you can fix a lot of shit on Microsoft where you, the technician, or anybody can learn this. If I can learn this shit, anybody can learn it. Even an average user, you can fix a lot of problems in Microsoft. And it can save you a lot of grief. You may not need to go to the bar every day. You may not need to get depressed. I mean, yeah, you're mentally ill because you have to deal with problems every day in Microsoft land. But when you fix problems, you're fixing your mental illness. Or at the very least, you are massaging your mental illness. Massaging. Not misogyny, not women hating, no, and not misandry either. There's a lot of misandrists in America. A lot of those feminists, feminazis claim that they are fighting for equality when they don't want it to admit, and they don't want you as a man to find out that it is misandry. They hate your guts. All right. So all things are well in Microsoft land now. All is well in Microsoft land, also called the make-believe. All is well for now in the make-believe called Microsoft land until the next major crisis, which will be my next video. The reason why I didn't include Microsoft Edge is because last night, let's see what happened. So I fixed Microsoft Word. Sometimes you cannot fix Microsoft Office. You can't do it. Back in the day, 10, 20 years ago, when I worked in corporate environments, a lot of times we were told, don't waste time. Now they didn't force us. If we wanted to try to troubleshoot it for 8 hours and then bang our heads on a tree afterwards and drink our problems away at Bennigan's afterwards or even at noon, you know what I'm saying? But it was recommended that you just say fuck it. Don't waste time troubleshooting Microsoft Office. Don't waste your fucking time. Just back up the data. And then you're talking about corporate environments. Most corporations I ever worked at, they had images. They had ghost images. And even for each department, like a serf that worked in the accounting department, that image would be different for their computer. What that means is that all you do is install a version of Windows specifically for the hardware, and it also has specific software for that serf's job duties. So if it was an accountant, it would have an accounting software. If it was sales, it would have sales software. If it was marketing, it would have marketing software. And then all you do is back up their data, which in a lot of corporate environments, their data was backed up to a network H drive. So it was real easy. And it makes logical sense. Instead of fucking going mentally ill even more and possibly going insane, believing the bullshit that is marketed to you and sold to you in Microsoft land, which is the land of make-believe, well, you just say fuck it, cut to the chase. But even now, there are chances are you cannot repair Microsoft Office. It gets so fucked up. There are chances are you cannot repair Word. So I am tooting my own horn because I have decades of experience troubleshooting Microsoft Office. And if you can fix Microsoft Office, or you can even fix one Microsoft Office application, pat yourself on the back. Nobody's going to give a fuck. Pat yourself on the back. Brag about it. And then, blow off some steam, or I don't know. But Microsoft Edge, that is another nightmare that I have not been able to solve. And I don't even want to waste time trying to solve that quagmire. So when I left their computer, there was Windows updates. They were running Windows 1709. And I told them that I tried to repair Edge. See, I when I work on a computer remotely, I kick off an Oh, you know what I forgot to document? It's no big deal. I did kick off an SFC scan, system file check. That didn't do anything. A lot of times it doesn't, but it's worth trying. SFC scan. I told them that if I could not repair Edge, which I have never been able to repair Edge. I've never been able to do it. I don't even waste my time. If I see a customer or a client on this third-party website where I earn supplemental income and they complain that their Microsoft Edge doesn't work, I immediately close that request out and I don't read on further. Because there could be some technicians out there that know how to fix Microsoft Edge. I do not know how to do it. I don't even waste my time. But I did notice that the Microsoft Fall update, which was 1709, fixed my Microsoft Edge. Well, it's not mine, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? I told them that, look, if I cannot get... Now, I gave them another option. I said, I can either... Now, the problem was that, you know what? I don't want to talk about that. But quickly. So the reason why I didn't include Microsoft Edge is because I did not repair it. And there were some Windows updates that installed and needed a reboot, and also McAfee. McAfee can be a fucking pain in the ass to remove. McAfee needed a reboot to completely uninstall itself, and so the computer needed a reboot, and I never heard back from this client. They never responded. So most times what that means is that it's possible that maybe after the reboot that Microsoft Edge will work, but I'll save that for another video if they ever respond back to me. Adios.